Darren just texted me and he said he can see, but he can't. He's got audio problems. Okay.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the virtual book launch, A Time of Hope, hosted by the board of the Hope Restart Centre in Bairnsdale. Welcome to everyone that's joining us online tonight. We will be recording this session as well to make it available to others. But before we kick off this evening, I'd like to introduce Alice Pepper, who will perform a welcome to country for us. So welcome, Alice, and thank you for joining us tonight. You just need to unmute yourself first.
Okay, that's better. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Yeah, oh, that's good. Yeah, thank you for that introduction. I'd like to start to say, Nektul Makta Yakan Rukut Alice Pepper, Naju Ganimba Jetchin Gu Du Ganai Kernai, Grawatangalung, Ba Tatangalung, Ba Brabiralung, Ba Brayakalung, Ba Braturalung. I pay my respects to our ancestors, both past and present, these and those that are present here today, and I acknowledge our young emerging leaders. I'm currently working for Gunai Kurnai Land and Water Council, and I'm community engagement broker there. And I'm also a First Peoples Assembly member for the South East region, working towards developing frameworks for treaties in Victoria. The Gunai Kurnai people are the traditional owners of Gippsland, who were recognised in 2010 and granted native title holding under the Traditional Owner Settlement Act, which is the first of such agreement in under that act. Gunai Kurnai people are the traditional owners of Gippsland, and just recently during NAIDOC week we had another big announcement that we also now have water rights on the flow through the Mitchell River of 2 gigalitres. Again, another first in Victoria for traditional owner groups, which was a great announcement to have during NAIDOC week. Especially with the theme of always was, always will be, recognising Aboriginal people as the first people, and that we've been here for over 65,000 years after, looking after country, farming on country, both on the lands and waters, which is called like aqua farming today. And we're still here today practising our cultures and traditions, and are one of the oldest living cultures in the world. Our land and waters that we are the caretakers and custodians of include coastal inlands areas of the south slopes of the Victorian Alps. The Gunai Kurnai people made up of 5 major clans: Brabiralung people in the central Gippsland, Mitchell, Nicholson and Tambo rivers, south to about Bairnsdale and Bruthen. Braturalung people in the south Gippsland from Cape Liptrap east to the mouth of Merrimbeam Creek, inland near Murbu and Port Albert and Wilson's Promontory. The Brayakalung people are around the current site of Sale, Providence Ponds, Avon, Latrobe Rivers, west of Lake Wellington to Mount Sawsaw and Howard. Crowatungalung people are near the Snowy River, Cape Everard, Point Hicks to Lake Sentience, Buchan and Snowy Rivers, all the way inland to about Black Mountains. And the Tatangalung people is where I am at the moment, on the coast along the 90-mile beach and about up near Lake Victoria, Wellington, from Lakes Entrance southwest to the mouth of Mirren Creek and Raymond Island and Lake King. So as you see, we cover a lot of area. We're proud Aboriginal First People of the Gunai Kurnai, and yeah, happy to be able to do this welcome to country for you guys. I did do a little bit of research after I got asked, and just want to say congratulations on all the work that's been put in to develop the Centre of Hope through Odyssey House. It's something that you know, will really benefit a lot of people in Gippsland, and you know, we have proof in our Aboriginal communities that you know, centres and peer models like what you're doing there actually works, you know, and because we know that rehab and that, you know, doesn't just happen when you're in the facility, but you have to have that knowledge and the skills and the strength to continue on your journey outside the rehabilitation centre. So congratulations on everybody and all your hard work, and looking forward to sort of having a relationship in the near future. Yeah, so thank you.
Thank you, Alice. Really appreciate that welcome, and definitely look forward to working with yourself and other members of the Gunai Kurnai community to make this centre as accessible and relevant to people right across the region, including Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders. So thank you. For those who don't know me, my name's Dr. Stefan Grunet. I'm the CEO of Odyssey House Victoria, and I'm going to MC tonight with all the speakers that we have lined up. So my first task is to throw over to Jenny Macklin, who is the Odyssey House Victoria Board Chair, and many of you will also know her as a former federal minister and deputy ALP leader. So I'm just going to bring you on, Jenny, and over to you.
Thanks very much, Stefan. And first of all, if I could say, Alice, thanks so much for that lovely welcome to country, which really positions us in all the different parts of the different Aboriginal communities down in your part of Victoria. So thank you so much for that. We acknowledge you, we acknowledge the traditional owners, and we certainly know how important it is for us at Odyssey House to work with Aboriginal people. Of course, there are many people who come to us for support, but we also understand how critical it is for us as an organisation to respect Aboriginal culture and to be part of the community that you're helping us strengthen. So thank you so much. Great to see you there, Darren. Are you with us now? Are you connected?
I've got audio now, Jen. Thank you.
Excellent. I haven't seen Darren for a while since I left the federal parliament, but it is wonderful, Darren. I've been hearing on the grapevine what a great support you've been to the Hope Restart Centre in Bairnsdale. And so can I just say, on behalf of everyone at Odyssey, how much we appreciate your support. It's just been one of those extraordinary stories, and we're so lucky to have Tom telling the story, which we're celebrating tonight. But I just want to say how much you as a local member have meant to this project. So from me personally and from Odyssey, thank you very, very much. To all the locals who've been so wonderful, we of course had been hoping to come down to be part of a big opening ceremony and celebration of everything that's so great about what's happening in Bairnsdale, but that blooming virus has got in the way, and so we haven't been able to come down. Those of us in Melbourne, of course, weren't allowed to come down. Now that things have loosened up a bit, we certainly hope we'll be able to come sometime soon and have a celebration. I do want to say to those of you who've been involved in raising the money, in making sure that the dream became a reality, thank you so much on behalf of the people who are benefiting and will benefit in the future. To the staff who've, of course, made sure that the support is delivered for the people who really need it. Thank you. And once again, we're looking forward to coming down and celebrating and thanking you in person. And to you, Tom, for writing the story. We're so excited to have it already done. It's not all that normal, Tom, for the story to be written so early in the life of a new project. So you've got there on the ground floor, and we'll make sure that people really understand how this all came about as a result of just the most outstanding local community leadership. So thank you so much. Thanks very much, Stefan.
Thanks, Jenny. And I'm going to throw straight to Tom, who obviously was incredibly generous with his time and efforts, who authored this story and really captured the remarkable story of real community effort that it was. Tom is an author of several books, including Drug Addiction in Australia, that he co-authored with Dr. John Sherman, but he's also covered the Odyssey story and some other organisation story, as well as being a former journalist and PR consultant. So over to you, Tom, and thanks for everything that you've done.
Thank you, Stefan. Look, to have researched and written this book has been an enormous pleasure and indeed a privilege. I'd like to compliment all of the people who came forward and envisioned the centre at Bairnsdale and then made it happen. And my heartfelt thanks to all who gave me their time and their energy and their knowledge and their experience to help this book come about. Without your help, this would just never have happened. This is my fourth book in the alcohol and other drugs sector. And what stood out for me here was the community support, the community cohesion, and the wonderful, wonderful getting together, firstly of the Bairnsdale and District, then East Gippsland, and then all of Gippsland. It's been absolutely remarkable. And I can tell you, and you'll read about it in the preface, the number of cases where the establishment of an AOD rehab centre in an area has led to deep division, deep animosity, and absolute almost community warfare. And yet, with the leadership that Peter and Margaret put together, and with Richard, with John, with Ricky and co, and the support of federal and state governments, it's a remarkable story. And I know Stefan has cautioned me on this, but I'd like to send everyone else to Gippsland to do a case study and to learn how to make it happen.
Good idea.
Yeah, harms caused by alcohol and other drugs affect us all. And if this book can make a small contribution to educating and informing people on this topic, I personally will be delighted. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Tom, and absolutely appreciate your efforts in capturing that story, and people can look forward to reading that in the book and getting copies. And I understand you're going to be down in Gippsland signing some copies and selling them in the main street as well. So please keep an eye out for that. Now, the next speaker, I'm failing dismally already. We're behind time, but the next speaker has been absolutely critical to making this happen. Peter Down, along with his wife Margaret, have really been the driving force behind both appreciating the need for and getting a facility established and all the connections involved. Absolute champions in their local community. So welcome, Peter and Margaret.
Thanks, Stefan. The early stages of this project were started really emotionally because we heard the story of an alcoholic and a drug addict and the effect it had on their families. It was just devastating. And I decided that something should be done. Now, once we put together the plan, Margaret took a bit of convincing, and quite a lot of people took some convincing, but everyone was very generous. No one told me that the idea was foolish and would never happen. And I do know that some people in advisory positions thought that, but they also told us what we should do, who we should go and see, who we should talk to, what procedure should be done. And we tried to carry that out. Once we did that, people slowly came on board. I used to harass John a little bit about what could be done, but he saw a different side of the project. He saw a wider range of advantages in the project: employment, training, and we followed these up. And I think we've put together a result that people can see in the community what's happening. Margaret and I did a lot of visiting with community, all the people around the site, to get them on board and get them to the stage that they realised what was needed. And that, with the help of the others, worked. Getting people on board to work as a committee and then a board took some time, but we got some marvellous people, great connections, people who took this to heart and could see where it could go. And the 4 years that we put in to get it to where it is now, we enjoyed very much, because it was great contact with people, and they, I think, realised fairly soon that we were serious about what we were doing. This apparently came through, certainly in our study for the town planning permit, where we got 86, I think it was, % in agreement. And Stefan was one of those generous people who, at our first visit, didn't put a damper on the potential, but he encouraged us. And Tom, you've done a great job. You've put the book together in such a way that A, it's readable, and B, it paints the picture as it was. So we're both very pleased and happy that we're at this stage, and we look forward to it going forward. So I thank you.
Thank you, Peter. And to Margaret, you leave an incredible legacy, and obviously it was your vision that got us to where we are, but visions take funding to eventuate, and sometimes getting that first person to commit to some funding creates the critical mass where others follow. And I'd like to introduce the next speaker now, the federal member for Gippsland and Minister for Veterans and Defence Personnel, Honourable Darren Chester. Thank you very much for making the time and joining us tonight, and saying a few words to us.
Thanks, Stephen. Apologies for the problems with the audio previously, but thank you, Alice, for the warm welcome to country as well. And you, Tom, for your book. It's something I'm looking forward to more people sharing. And Jen, it's great to see you. Jenny Macklin and I had a great friendship when we were in Parliament together. I won't tell too many stories out of school, but Jenny and I were keen visitors to the pool at the Parliament House gym, and Jen was always in lane 1 and I was in lane 2, and if I turned up before Jen was there, I still wouldn't get into lane 1. It was a respectful order of things in the parliamentary pool. But thank you, Jen, for the work you're doing with Odyssey House. It's incredibly important. Look, at its heart, I think the whole Hope Centre is a story of vision, of passion, of partnership and of resilience. And it's all very well to have the vision. And I sat down with, I think it was Peter and Richard and Margaret in a coffee shop in 2016, and he told me his vision. And I think Richard may have paid for the coffee, but the federal government would probably regard it as the most expensive coffee ever bought, because it's ended up being a sizable grant from the federal government to get the project moving. But it was your vision, Peter and Margaret and John and Richard, that got us to that point, and your passion to never give up, even though other people were saying it couldn't be done. And then all the partnerships you forged across our community, whether it's in our community or with Odyssey House, those partnerships just strengthen the project, and then your resilience to keep on going when things are a little bit tough. So I'm not sure whether it was whether people believe in fate or not, but the time that Peter first raised these issues with me, I had one of my own staff members going through an experience with one of her sons with a drug addiction, and at the same time there were 2 or 3 other close friends of mine in Latrobe Valley and in East Gippsland who'd been involved with their children with ice addictions, and it all seemed to build up at the same time. The lack of services in our region was at a critical point, and we were fortunate to be able to secure some federal funding to get the project heading in the right direction. And I think that resilience of the community to keep on pushing and to keep looking for opportunities when there really weren't opportunities there is a real credit to everyone who got involved. And Margaret, if you took a bit of convincing, I can assure you the federal government took a lot more convincing to get that first bit of money out the door. But once it happened, it wasn't going to stop. So congratulations to everyone who's been involved. This is a project that's more than just the building, obviously. It's going to change lives in our community. I'm sure it's going to save lives in our community. I'm so proud that East Gippsland's been able to pull it off, and I've no doubt that other communities will come to East Gippsland and try to understand how we got to where we are today. But it's all credit to local leadership and people having that resilience and that determination to see the project come to fruition. So I wish you all the best, and I look forward to working with you all into the future, and wishing you good health as well.
Thanks, Darren. Really appreciate your support. And as I said before, really getting the funding flowing. It has been an incredible effort through multiple partnerships, and particularly from the community, but the federal money really got it started. So thanks once again for that support. We did also get eventually some support from the state government, the Victorian state government, who have funded the operations of this program. And we invited the new Minister for Health in the Victorian State Government, Martin Foley, to join us and say a few words tonight. He wasn't able to make it in person, but he has recorded a short video. So hopefully I'll be able to bring this up and have him present that video message to you all.
It gives me great pleasure to virtually join you all today for the launch of Tom Valenta's book, A Time of Hope, covering the Hope Restart Centre's community journey. It's a journey that started even before the first permanent board was appointed in 2016 to complement the existing services with a local substance abuse rehabilitation centre for the Gippsland community. The journey of establishing the Hope Restart Centre drug and alcohol rehabilitation facility in Gippsland is a result of the tireless efforts of several community leaders who sit on the Board of Management and their service partner, Odyssey House Victoria. I also want to acknowledge Peter and Margaret Down. Without their vision, this centre would not exist. Alcohol and drug addiction continues to be a major social and public health issue. People living with addiction need a safe place to recover and build the skills they need to get their substance abuse under control. In the past, regional Victorians have sometimes struggled to access residential rehabilitation services. This is why the Victorian Government is committed to expanding drug treatment services to regional locations to allow access to treatment and support close to home and in their community. Our government is proud to be funding Hope Restart Centre in the delivery of these important and essential services. It is commendable that you have been able to establish and open the service during this pandemic, and I thank you for your commitment to achieving the best outcomes for Victorians living with addiction. I look forward to visiting the service when we can all be together again to see the important work that you are doing in saving lives. Congratulations and enjoy the launch.
Thank you, Minister Foley. Really appreciate the ongoing funding support for this program that you've provided. And I know it took a little bit of convincing that a facility that far out in East Gippsland was the right place, but we eventually got there. Next, I'd like to introduce Richard Rees, who I guess is known to many in the Bairnsdale and surrounding community. And every project needs a patron and someone who's very well connected to all of the business community and politicians in the area. And Richard, you've been a really great support. I've enjoyed your chats all along the way in the journey, and I'd like you to say a few words if you would.
Thank you, Stefan. Well, the suggestion was raised back in 2016 that I should be approached to be patron for this project. Peter Down approached me, and I, with a little bit of, I don't know, doubt perhaps, but I agreed. I couldn't be happier about my decision. Having worked with this determined, relentless group of people, all with different skills, and achieving the unbelievable result we have has been a very rewarding experience for me. Many will benefit from this purpose-built facility and the truly professional organisation, Odyssey House Victoria, who has agreed to run it. I strongly encourage you to buy this book for yourselves, your friends, and even your coffee table. Other than being a remarkable story about a community's determination to achieve a result, it is a manual for other regional communities who could and should aim to house a facility in their own region. I've always believed these type of facilities are better than jail. They're cheaper to run, the results turn out better prospects, and something that Darren said in our very early talks when we were discussing funding from the federals was, you know, it's very difficult to get $3 million. It would be a hell of a lot easier to get $100 million and do a national program. And I actually believe that could be the case with this beautiful book that Tom has written being used as a manual and being this type of project being implemented in other, particularly regional centres. It gives me a lot of joy to see that there's opportunity here for helping underprivileged and particularly in our area, Indigenous people, as well as many of the other people that are afflicted by this issue. Tom Valenta, the author, has done a remarkable job in hunting down all the details about how this project was born and brought to completion. The book is not expensive and would be ideal to fill a few Christmas present spots. On your notification for this Zoom webinar, you will see a link to order your books. Simply click and order. I wish everyone a safe and a happy, safe and COVID-free Christmas period and for 2021 as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Richard, and really appreciate your ongoing support. And after many years in business, you're still helping us sell things, so appreciate that. I'm going to pass over to John Glynn, who's really kept us accountable throughout this whole project around the finances, and just to say a few words to sort of wrap up the project that was getting this facility built and ready to go. And you'll just need to unmute yourself, John.
Well, thanks, Stefan, and welcome everybody. Looking in the rear vision mirror, and we've got a bit of a vision at the back of an early version of the project. Our journey has been a remarkable community effort. There's no doubt about it. But the planning process that everyone's contributed to has also been quite remarkable. Tom's book beautifully describes the need for and the community contribution to what has been achieved here. And as a Secretary and Treasurer during the journey, the financial and resource support that we have all received has made my job probably the preeminent and most challenging and satisfying bit of work I've ever been involved in. We produced an end of project report, which is more of a technical view of our journey, and should be of great interest to anyone in the community wanting to emulate our journey and not necessarily have to pioneer with the roadblocks and pitfalls that we faced. Many were amazed we got the place off the ground at all, and more so that we completed stage 1 with 58 beds and facilities for 120 residents. But it was no accident. The rubber hit the road right from the start back in 2015 when Peter came into my office and with a couple of pages saying what he wanted to do. We've had a strong and consistent strategic approach to this achievement. We created clear objectives right from the start, and we stuck to those objectives from day one. Some of the health objectives have now been properly passed across to health professionals who are more qualified than us as board members. And we're pretty confident that they'll come together and create an integrated path for pre and post treatment to maximise the Odyssey House residential treatment program and benefit many individuals challenged by addiction. When Odyssey House is ready, Stefan, we supporters are also ready to head into stage 2 somewhere down the track, which may provide a further 60 beds, mainly family units. Everyone can ask for a copy of this end of project report by simply emailing me at info@hopecentre.asn.au. Certainly, as other speakers have said, Australia needs many centres around the country like the Hope Centre to head off the ever-increasing addiction problem that we're faced with. I encourage all communities interested in following our journeys to get a copy of this end of project report. Tom, to you, thank you very much for writing this book. I think on the 5th reading, it still brings a tear to my eye how you put it all together. And publicly, I'd like to thank all members of the board. Jenny, you as chair, and Stefan, certainly your backup has been just brilliant. And please buy a book.
Thanks, John. I appreciate that offer of ongoing support. I think we're all going to catch our breath first with the year that we've all had, including the bushfires earlier on in the Gippsland area, before we start on the second phase and make sure this one's embedded down really well and benefiting everyone in the community. But we certainly appreciate that offer. The last speaker that we've got for the book launch tonight is someone who really stepped in and provided his skills and leadership towards the end part of the project, and particularly and all his local networks. and that's Ricky Roth, and we really appreciate the way you really pulled the last part of the project together when we needed that. So I'd like to throw to you for a few words. Thanks, Ricky.
Yeah, thanks, Stefan. Just can I say, this is just a wonderful evening, and I really appreciate the kind words. And Tom, what a great achievement. Great having those chats with you, and really learned a lot from speaking to you, so well done. And look, I just want to reflect, a lot of water under the bridge since it all started. I can recall, probably just over 3 years ago, I was out at the centre pegging out the garage or the big shed with Peter, and we come across our first big problem. We had to shift a bit of the hill so we could peg it out. So just an indication with these projects that lots of things go right and some things don't go quite right, but we worked really solidly as a team and got to the end. But look, I'll finish up by talking about, we know that a number of sub-projects have already been established at the Hope Centre, like the Arts Studio, the Oval, the 2 hothouses, and the netball and tennis court. Exercise is an important element in the Odyssey House 4-level treatment program. I know we've spoken about establishing a 1.8 kilometre exercise walking track with equipment and paving, together with the delivery of an exercise program, which would be a good outcome. And pleased that a pledge program has been opened up, Stefan, and it's sitting at $10,000 at the moment. But also to realise the vision, opportunities being investigated to connect to organisations that potentially may support and assist this initiative. So, we look to the future, Stefan, and supporting Odyssey and the team out there. So, well done. Thanks, Stefan.
Thanks, Ricky. And obviously there's always ongoing needs, and we appreciate the hat's been going around for quite a long time for this project. And I want to finish up by thanking everyone right across the board for all of their support, and understand there's lots of people in need at the moment, and we're all going to do our best. So that brings us to the end of the program tonight. I, for one, are really looking forward to joining everyone down the track, hopefully next year when we're allowed to come down to Gippsland on Gunner Kurnai land, to all come together and really celebrate the incredible achievement that this project has been. In the meantime, people will need to buy a book and read about that journey. And I thank everyone who's joined us on the webinar, and those who will at some point in the future enjoy looking through the recording. Thank you for attending tonight. I hope you found this interesting, and I look forward to joining you all down there in the community one day. Thank you also for all of your work. I know many of you are stakeholders and other local service providers who we look forward to working all together with to make a difference through this new program. So thanks, Tom, again. Congratulations on your book, and thanks everyone for joining us tonight.
Good night.